right, let's dig into fluency related to understanding number. We really want to make sure that students have fluency. Remember, that's that ease and accuracy with thinking about using numbers in their standard form, thinking about how we can think about numbers in their expanded form, and then also thinking about how we can use those numerals to write numbers in their unit form. So there are several fluency activities that we'll look at. There's probably hundreds of fluency activities out there. So let's look at a few, and then I'd like you to tell us about some of your favorite fluency activities. Let's go ahead and get started. So one of the fluency activities that you might want to consider using is count, stop, and jot. So here we're going to go through a counting sequence. Maybe we do this quarterly or maybe a count around. And then when we reach a chosen number, we're going to say stop, jot. And then students write the number and then compare with their classmates. So maybe here we stopped at 13, and then students would write 13. And then we can continue with another counting sequence until the next stop and jot. And here it might be really helpful to stop and jot numbers that you think students might have a hard time writing. For example, 13, sometimes students hear that th, and they make the 3 first. Why? This is why often students will write 3-1 for 13, because they hear that th of the 3 before they hear the 1. Here's a partner game that your students might be interested in. This is the race to 50. Here students roll a die and grab that many ones cubes, and then they organize the ones cubes on the 10 frame. And then they roll the die again and they show that many cubes. And then anytime they have 10 ones, then they have to regroup to 1 10. And the idea here is to then also write the value of the numeral down. So here I could write, right now I see I have 14 or 1 4. And then the partners are going to go back and forth, and then the first one to reach 50 or more wins the game. We can also do a lot of practice with place value cards. Here are some examples of place value cards here. First, separate the cards into hundreds, tens, and ones, and then students will draw from the stacks to build a 2-digit number or a 3-digit number. Here they built 845. They should read it aloud, but then they could also write it in the expanded form. I could write 840 and 5, or maybe even I want to write that in unit form as well. There are virtual place value cards that students could use to build different numbers. Here I'm building 421, or here you can see I'm building 139. Lots of different ways for us to practice understanding number, and a lot of times that understanding of number is directly related to place value. So as I said, there's another module all about place value, and in that module, you'll see a focus on understanding number, just as we see place value in this module about understanding number. Now here's another activity that you might consider using, and this is roll and rename. This is a partner activity. So here students, they roll a die 2 to 3 times and record a number in its either standard form, expanded form, by its number name, or in the unit form. And then another student has to write that same number, but in a different way. So here students can think about all the different ways that we can write the same number. So that brings us to a pause, and I would like you to consider these following 2 questions. Which fluency activities do you use to help students build fluency related to an understanding of number? And which of the previous activities that we just looked at might you try implementing in your classroom?